Let's start. Masechet Rosh Hashana Daf Amud Aleph 33a1. Remember, we're by to the top of the page, Amud Aleph, where it says, "Ven chotchinotos." You're not allowed to cut the shofar. Ben medavar shu mishum shvut, whether something which is going to be an isur of cutting because of the rabbanan, or vechem medavar shu mishum lo taaseh, or something which is going to be a prohibition of midoraita, of a negative commandment. Okay. Now says the Gemara, mishum shvut, yeah, because of shvut, because of the rabbanan. What is the drabanan? A magala. What is a magala?
Magal, no?
Yeah, Amichai should know. What is magala?
Magali.
Yeah, no magali. Magala. Yeah, what is magal? Magal. No, not ma'agal. Magal. Magal is the. I forgot how you said it in English now. You know it's like a.
Machete.
Okay, so it's. Food is magala, which is a sickle. Right, because that's considered ad rabbanan. So the sickle is the one with a handle, and then it's called like the long round knife. Okay, lo ta'aseh. What is the negative commandment? Sakina, a sakin. What does it mean, the sakin? If you use a sakin, which that's the normal way of cutting a shofar, that's going to be the duraita. So ask the Gemara, hashta mishum shevut amarta lo ta'aseh mivay. If you just told me right now that you cannot use a rabbanan, so then you have a doubt that you cannot use the duraita. If you can't use a sickle, which is not normal for cutting a shofar, so in kol sheken, right, kal vachomer, you cannot use, right, a knife, which for sure then you can use. So says the Gemara, zo ve'en tzarich lomar zo ketani. Many times in the Mishnah we learn zo ve'en tzarich lomar zo. This, and we don't even need to teach that. You're right. In Acharami, we don't need to teach it. Okay? Okay. Says the Gemara, you're allowed to put inside of the shofar yain or mine. So says the Gemara, "Maim o yain in meraglaim lo." You could only put wine or water, but not urine. Okay, even though it's also going to clean it very properly. Right? Amatniti mani. Who is our Mishnah? Abba Shauli. It's Abba Shaul. The time we learned in the Braita, Abba Shaul omer, "Maim o yain mutar kedei letzachzecho." In order to clean it, that it's going to have a good voice. Meraglaim is asur because of the kavod. Meaning not because of the actual of the cleansing. Because the cleansing, it could clean actually very, very well. Inside the shofar, yes, right? What we're talking about, because of the kavod, right? Yeah, usually arak or vinegar. Usually they use vinegar, right? With vinegar in order to come and to clean it out. And to but then afterwards it has a terrible, how do you think? You know what I'm saying? If you remember, we said that we don't stop the children from blowing the shofar. So when the children come and they want to start blowing the shofar on Rosh Hashana, you let them do whatever they want. Hanashim. Well, let's say the women want to blow. Yeah? Me'akvin. So you stop them. But we learned to the Braita, I thought that we don't stop the women or the children from blowing on Yom Tov. So Abaye says, right, la kashya. It's not a question. Har Yehuda, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon. The Braita, right, the first one is of Yehuda that he says, right, that basically that we do stop the women from blowing the shofar. Okay, and Rabbi Yosef, right, that's what so Rabbi Yehuda says, that since women are exempt from the shofar, they're not allowed to come and blow, right? Because the mitzvah to say, if they're going to do it, it's bal tosif. But according to Rabbi Yosef and Shimon, even though women are exempt, if they wanted to, they're allowed to. So therefore, there's no bal tosif. The Tanyans we learned in the Braita, the Bera Bnei Israel, you have to speak to the children of Israel. Bnei Israel somchin, ve'em benot Israel somchot. Who are the ones that do semicha? You know what semicha means? Not to become rabbinical ordinances, right? Right? No, semicha means that they're leaning on the animal, right? When you bring a korban, you do semicha on the animal. So therefore, who are the only ones that do it? The men, no, the owners. The men, but not the women. That means only men do semicha, the gvarim, right? The bera b'nei Yisrael v'matalem adam ki akrimi kem korban. Any human being, when he's going to bring a korban, v'samach yado al rosh ha'olah. Since it says the bera b'nei Yisrael v'lo benot Yisrael, men and not women. These are Rabbi Yehuda. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. What? Yeah. No, you don't need to. You don't need to do the smicha. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon Omrim, what you were referring to, Ronen, was the Kippur. On the Kippur, you do vidui. That's on because the Kohen Gadol is doing for a Kohen stuff. But usually, when you bring a korban, you do the smicha. They actually learn it. That they learned it also from. They learn it from Balak and Bilam. Because if you remember, they said Balak and Bilam. He said Ben Eliva zeh shiva mizbechot. Right? So he said that he had to be there. Why did he have to be right? Bilam tells Balak, build here the Sheva Mizbechot, and he was right there. Why was he there? Because Balak wanted to be there, but he had to do the simcha. He had to be right there. When you bring a korban, it's not that you just send a korban. Hey, it's there for you. No. No shlichim. It's you have to be there, you yourself. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon omrim, nashim somchot reshut. No, the women could do it, but it's reshut. What does it mean reshut? If they want, they could do it. If they don't want, they don't need to do it. It's a reshut, right? They're not obligated to. Okay. Next, 2 dots. Aval mitaskim bahem ad shilmedu. So now to do the children, we come and we actually, have them blow the shofar until they actually learn how to do the shofar. Amar Rabbi Lazar, says Rabbi Lazar, afilu b'Shabbat, even on Shabbat. It means even though we don't blow the shofar on Shabbat, if they're going to come and they're going to be mitasek in the shofar on Shabbat, we let them until they actually learn how to do it. Tanya Minachri, we also learned it in right time, mitzkim b'hem shilmedu afilu b'Shabbat. Ve'hem me'akvin et hatinyokot militkoa b'Shabbat ve'en tzarich lomar b'yom tov. We're not going to stop them from blowing on Rosh Hashana that comes out on Shabbat and all Kavachomer if Rosh Hashana comes out on right to Yom Tov without Shabbat. Hagufa kasha, that in itself is a question. You just told me that you're going to let them go and blow the shofar even on Shabbat. Alma is lechatchila amrina. I mean, even lechatchila, we should tell the children, tiku, blow. We tell them lechatchila, blow the shofar. The hadar tana, and then 2 minutes later we learned em me'akvin, that we don't stop them. Ikuva udu lo me'akvin. We're not going to be me'akev, but lechatchila lo amrim. We're not going to tell them lechatchila. Meaning the question is it a din lechatchila or only b'diavad? Meaning, if I'm not going to stop you from doing something, right? That doesn't mean it's lechatchila, but I'm not going to stop you. Meaning, lechatchila, don't do it. But if you did it, okay, I'm not going to stop you. But if I'm going to tell you do it, that's not b'diavad, it's lechatchila. So the question is, the stira is, do you tell children to blow, or is it that you just don't stop them? Is it a din lechatchila that you tell them to blow, or no, that if they start blowing, you just don't stop them? So says the Gemara, la kashya, it's not a question. Kan, lamed gimel mubet, 33b. כאן בקטן שהגיע לחינוך, וכאן בקטן שלא הגיע לחינוך. When a katan is הגיע לחינוך, yes, that's הלכה. When a katan is הגיע לגיל חינוך, right, we do not, right, so if he's going to be מגיע לחינוך, we tell him to do it even on Shabbat, in order that he has חינוך mitzvah shofar. And not only we're not going to stop him, but we actually tell him לכתחילה, do it. But the brighter was on a katan שלא הגיע לחינוך, so since there's no mitzvah חינוך at all, we don't tell him to do it on Shabbat. But if he did it, we're not going to stop him.
Is that any Shabbat or just on?
No, Shabbat of Rosh Hashana always.
Right? Any other Shabbat?
We're not supposed to blow.
No, we're talking about on Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashana on Shabbat. Yeah. Katan. Mitasek lo yatsa. When somebody is going to be mitasek, lo yatsa. Right? When a person is going to be mitasek in the shofar without kavanah. So imagine he's blowing in the shofar, but he doesn't have kavanah for the shofar. Lo yatsa dechovah. So he says, Hatokea lashir. But if he's going to do it in order for a sound, imagine he's using it as a trumpet. He's not doing it for Tkiyat Shofar. He's going to be Yatsa. So Rava, why there's a proof to Rava? Rava says, Hatokea lashir, Yatsa. I mean, the person comes and he's going to be blowing the shofar as a song. Whatever it is, and it's actually, he's going to be Tzedchuvah. So says the Gemara, no. Dilma Tokea Nashir, Nami Mitasek. Maybe Tokea Lashir is also called Mitasek. Because remember, Mitasek just means you don't have kavanah. Right? Mitasek, you're just you're doing something. So therefore, maybe that's a pshat. So that means also you're not going to be Tzedchuvah because Tokea Shalashir is like Mitasek. Okay? Ve'ashomea mina Mitasek lo yatsa. So it's not a proof to Rava. So therefore, don't bring me a proof that you're going to be Tzedchuvah even if you do it for singing. No, it's not a proof. Hashomea mina Mitasek lo yatsa. If you're listening for somebody that's Mitasek, also you're not going to be Tzedchuvah. Now, imagine right now somebody who's using it as a trumpet and you walk by and you heard it, but it actually sounded like shofar. Right? That means they had a longer one and a shorter one, whatever it is. So he says over here, you're not going to say chuvah. But imagine right now, I'm passing by, and you're blowing the shofar for yourself in your house. So it's mashma, you're going to say chuvah. Ma yatsa. So that's a tiyuv to Rabbi Zera. Tamar Rabbi Zera l'shameh. Rabbi Zera told his shamash, ikavenut kali, have kavanah and be motziot to the chuvah. Now, what does that mean? Rabbi Zera held that if he didn't have kavanah to be mashmiya otcha, you're not yotze the chuvah. But why? So answers the Gemara, Dilma Tana Reisha Mitasek. Tana says, no, maybe he was also Mitasek. That means even though it didn't say Mefurash Mitasek, maybe that's why he told them Mefurash, have kavanah. Because if you're going to do it on your own, right? Even if you didn't have kavanah, maybe you are going to be Tzedchuvah, the Tkiyat Shofar. Okay? Fine. Next Mishnah. Mishnah Lamigim Lamubet. Seder Tekiyot. What is the Seder of Tekiyot that we said? Because we just said, if you remember, you do 3, 4. We do by Malchiot, Zichronot, and Shofarot. So it says over here, Shalosh, Shel Shalosh, Shalosh. We do 3 groups of 3. Okay? That means that's what we're doing. We're doing Malchiot, Zichronot, Shofarot, which is 3 Sidarot. that in every single sidra you're going to do shalosh kolot. So therefore, it's going to be tekiah, teruah, tekiah. Now, shiur tekiah is like shalosh teruot. When you do the long tekiah, that is 3 teruot. Okay. Now, shiur teruah is shalosh yibavot, is 3 cries. Okay. Takah barishona, if you did at the beginning, okay, and then umashach bashniya kishtayim, and then the second one you did twice. You did it like a double things like this. Do. I did it like a double one, meaning the second one, not the first one. The first one doesn't matter. You can take it as long as you want. It'll never be counted as 2. But the question was the second one, right? Can that count as the end of the first one and the beginning of the second one? That's the question. Mashach b'shniya kishtayim em biyado lachat. Says the Mishnah, it's only 1. Mi shebirach ve'achar kach nidmana lo shofar. Right? Imagine right now you did the bracha of the malchuyot zichron shofar, and afterwards you got the shofar. Tokea u'meriya ve'tokea shalosh pamim. So you're going to do it 1 for the malchuyot, 1 for zichron, 1 for shofarot, and you don't have to go back to the amidah. I mean, even though you finished the amidah, we're not going to tell you now, no, you have to do tefillah again. And now you have to do it in the proper places. Because you didn't have the shofar at the right time, just do it afterwards. You do all in one shot. Just like the shliach tzibur is chayav litpalel, so too everyone is obligated to pray. And you're not going to be samech on the shliach tzibur. Rabban Gamliel omer, shliach tzibur motzi et rabim yedei chavotan. Says no. Says Rabban Gamliel, the shliach tzibur can be motzi otcha yedei chova, even if they do know how to pray.
You sit down and you don't do anything, the shliach tzibur
can be motzi even if you know how to pray. Right? That's a shita of Rabban Gamliel. Okay? The Tanya, we learned in the Braita, shiur tekiah kitruah, and not like shalosh truot. Meaning like this. We just said in our Mishnah, what is the shiur of the tekiah? The tekiah, remember, is the long one. It's like, what do we say in our Mishnah? Shalosh teruot. Okay? So now here, the Gemara is asking, we learned in a Braita that it was 1 teruah. So there's a huge difference between 1 and 3, meaning what's the length of the tekiah? So Amar Abaye says, Tana didan kachashiv tekiah dekulu babe utruot dekulu babe. Our Tana of our Mishnah is not talking about 1 tekiah. He's talking about the tekiyot, right, of all the starim. And that's why he said it's like 3 teruot, right? Because there's going to be 3. Because it's 1 times 3 is 3. Okay? Tana bara, but the Tana of the Braita, kachashiv chad baba. He's only talking about 1 of them. 1 tekiah, right? Vetulo, and not more than that. Okay? Fine. Next, shiur teruah is like 3 yibavot. Tanya shiur teruah is like 3 shvarim. So one says, is it shalosh yibavot or shalosh shvarim? A shever is aroch tzat, is a little bit longer, right, than yibavot. Okay? So Amar Abaye says, Behavadai pili. For sure, there's a machloket to do the shiur of the teruah. Why? Dichtiv is, it says in a pasuk, Yom teruah yeh lechem. It says in a pasuk, it's a day of teruah. Targeminan, and we have the Targum Kulos there says, Yom Yibava Yelech. It's going to be a day of Yibava, of crying. Okay, Uchtiv, and it's written, Beimed Sisra, by the mother of Sisera, right? Be'ada Chalon Nishkefa, that she's looking out of the window, but Tiaberet Sisra, now she's wailing over Sisera, because remember, Sisera was killed, right, by Yael. Yeah? So it says over here, Mor Savar Ganuche Ganach, Mor Savar Yelule Yelil. So there's a machloket. What exactly is a Yibava? Is the Yibava a kol teruah, like a kol of ginicha? Ginicha means, right, like a person that's coming and that he's suffering from the heart. Okay, so since he's suffering from the heart, right, so there's going to be this problem. Okay.
But in Tekiah, both of them sound the same.
Which one?
No,
not the tekiah, the teruah. Some of the teruah, the shvarim.
Sound the same. I mean,
No, why? Why? The difference is ganuche or mor savar yaluli yeleh. Yaluli yeleh is like this. Basically, what's a yelala?
Yeah, but if I call, אני יכול לעשות differentiation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we do.
Yeah,
We do the differentiation. The difference, of course we do. The differentiation, what we just mentioned, yeah. Ganuche ganach. Yeah, you're listening. Ganuche ganach or yaluli yalil. Ganuche ganach is a person when he's suffering from his heart. How does he cry? He cries, but long cries. He goes, oh, he's doing the, so what happens? He comes and he's sighing. The other one, yilala, is when a person cries. So because of that, that's a machloka between them. which means that one of them holds that what is the Teruah? Meaning like this. According to everybody, the Tkiyah is a long one. Right, sobbing. That means, according to everybody, Tkiyah is Tkiyah, a long one. Yeah, a long one. But now what's the Shvarim Teruah? It's called the Teruah. What is it? The Shvarim is like a person that he's crying, but he doesn't break down. Right? And that's why, if you remember, we actually explained it. That's why we said that we do both of them. How do we do both? We know that all you have to do is Tekiyah. Yeah, all you have to do is Tekiyah, Teruah, Tekiyah. That's all that you need to do. However, though, we have a machloket. What's a Teruah? Because of the machloket, what's a Teruah? We have to do everything. So what do? You do one set, then maybe it's both. Then maybe it's both. Shvarim Teruah. What does that mean? You do two. Why? Because when a person starts crying, sometimes they start that they do that they start doing like that. That means they break down afterwards. Meaning in the beginning it's longer, and then they break down completely. Okay, so that means that they're holding themselves back, and then finally they just break down. So that's a shvarim teruah. The other one is maybe it's only shvarim, which is so that's shvarim. The other one is immediately that's the crying.
So
that is
when
the
Mashiach comes, we want to cry. You want to hear the sounds of crying.
Okay. So we learned in a Braita. Minayin shebeshofar. How do we know that when it says here, yeah? So how do we know that you have to blow the actual shofar? Minayin shebeshofar. Tamulomar be'avarta shofar teruah. So you have to blow the shofar. Enli ela bayovel, but that's only bayovel, right? But Rosh Hashana, how do you know that you have to blow the shofar also on Rosh Hashana? Because that pasuk where it says be'avarta shofar teruah, the shofar, that is only mentioned by Yovel. So it says Tamulomar b'chodesh Shvi. She'en Tamulomar b'chodesh Shvi. What does it come to teach you in Chodesh Shvi? What Tamulomar b'chodesh Shvi? Sheyukol hatruot shel Chodesh Shvi ze kazeh. All of them are going to be the same. Which means everything which is, whether it's going to be the Yovel or the Rosh Hashana, it's all going to be the exact same. Okay? Fine. Minayin shepshuta lefanea. How do we know that there's a pshuta lefanea? Tamulomar ve'avarta shofar teruah. Right? So since it says ve'avarta shofar teruah, shepshuta le'acharea. How do we know that means? So when it says ve'avarta, I mean something is before it, because you're passing by it. And how do you know there's one after it? Tamulomar taviru b'shofar. That means one more time. Ve'avarta means that there's a tkiyah at the beginning. Shofar taviru shofar means that there's a tkiyah at the end, and in the middle it's a teruah. Okay. Now, how do you know it's with a shofar? Because all of them have to be the same. Just like in Yovel, which is on Kippur, right? You blow with a shofar. So to on Rosh Hashana, you're going to blow with a shofar because it's in the same month of Tishri. But that's only in Yovel. The fact that it says the 7th month are all the same. That means from here, that means somebody's going to ask you. You come and you have to blow the shofar on Rosh Hashana. Why do we have all these sounds? So you have to tell them. Since it's written, Va'avarta shofar teruah, you need a tkiyah before the teruah. Va'avarta shofar teruah. So first comes Va'avarta, tkiyah. How do you know a tkiyah afterwards? Taviru b'shofar. So it's tkiyah afterwards. When it said the shofar teruah, it's in the middle. So you have tkiyah, teruah, tekiyah. How do you know that it has to be with the shofar? B'chodesh Shvi. How do you know that it's going to be also one tekiyah before, one tekiyah after? Because that was only written by Yovel. Again, b'chodesh Shvi. So now you know that, now you understand. We basically have to do tarat. Tekiyah, teruah, tekiyah. But since we don't know what is the teruah, what is the tarah, the resh, we don't know. Is the teruah shevarim? Is it teruah? Or is it shevarim teruah? That's what we do. Tashrat, tashat, tarat. Now you understood. That means meaning midoraita, it's 9 kolot that you have to do. Tashrat, tashat, tarat. Shevarim teruah, shevarim and teruah. Because the person will never start. He doesn't do it. He does the opposite. He always breaks down.
No, you don't do that.
No, nobody does it. It's not the nature. Okay? So now says the Gemara, Lamedaled Amud Aleph. So says the Gemara, She'en Talmud Lomar, what does it come to teach you? B'chodesh Shvi. Umat Talmud Lomar b'chodesh Shvi. What does it come to teach you? 34A1. Yeah, Lamedaled Amud Aleph. Yeah, on the top. What does it come to teach you? B'chodesh Shvi. Shiyu kol truot hachodesh Shvi ze kazeh. All of them should be the exact same. Uminayin le'shalosh al shalosh shalosh. How do you know that you have to do 3 by 3? Talmud Lomar, because it says in a pasuk. Listen carefully. By Kippur of Yovel. By Kippur of Yovel ve'avarta shofar teruah. That's number 1. Then it says by Rosh Hashana, Shabbaton zichron teruah. Then it says by Rosh Hashanah, Yom Teruah Yeh Lachem. So therefore, since each time it says Teruah, there's a pshuta before and a pshuta afterwards. So now you have to know that there's going to be 3 by 3. Yeah. Right? How do we know that everything that was by Rosh Hashanah applies to Kippur? Because 2 psukim were Rosh Hashanah. 1 pasuk was Kippur of Yovel. Again, the answer that Ronen said before, Tamul Omar, Chodesh HaShavi'i. What is a Chodesh HaShavi'i? Shavi'i l'gzera shava. HaKeitzad. Right? How is it? It says, Shalosh shehen teisha. 3, which is going to be 9. Okay? 3, which is going to be less. So says the Gemara HaKeitzad. So what are we talking about? Shalosh shehen teisha. 3, which are becoming 9. Fine. Shiur tekiyah kitruah. The shiur teruah ki shosha shvarim. So we just said the tekiyah is like a teruah. And the shiur of a teruah is like shlosha shevarim. Okay? So says the Gemara, Hi Tana, this Tana miikara maitila be'kesh. At the beginning, he brought in a kesh. Everyone knows what a kesh is? What is a kesh? A kesh is a juxtaposition, proximity. When you have things which are written close together, we apply them together. Which means things which are written closely together, they apply to both of them together. Okay, that's called a kesh. Behashta now, maitila b'gzera shava. We're learning it in gzera shava. Remember, gzera shava has nothing to do with a kesh. I could have one word here and one word in Bamidbar, right? And I do Gzera Shava. What is Gzera Shava? I'm applying both words that seem to use the same terminology in both. But obviously, remember, I can only do a Gzera Shava with my rabbi. You have to accept it and a masoret from your rabbi, from his rabbi, from his rabbi, from his rabbi. That continues up to Moshe Sinai. That's the difference in a Hekesh and the Gzera Shava. Gzera Shava has to be learned from your rabbi. That's to continue going up. That's what we ask. He didn't learn Gzera Shava. No, he didn't receive it from his rabbi. Yeah. Well, yeah. So whatever they had that Masoret. This is Gzera Shava. This is Gzera Shava. Meaning, it's not like nowadays. Nowadays, people think, but some people think, you know what? 1 second, I found the word over here. We did a Torah compute. I don't know what. We found on the computer. So you know what? Now I'm going to apply all the rules together. No, it doesn't exist. It's like you can't just do Gzera Shavas. You understand? Gzera Shava doesn't work. So says the Gemara, Hachi Kamar. This is what it means to say, right? Because at the beginning, we said at the beginning it was going to be a catch. Now we're saying it's Gzera Shava. So says the Gemara, no. Ilav Gzera Shava. Even if it wasn't a Gzera Shava, I would have learned it from a catch. But now that I have a Gzera Shava, I don't need a catch. Which means what's stronger? A Gzera Shava. Gzera Shava is also even stronger than a Kavachomen. Because a Kavachomen also you could do yourself. You understand? Unless somebody asks against it, this and that. Yeah. But you could also do a Kavachomen yourself. But the Gzera Shava, you can. So the Gzera Shava is stronger than the other forms of learning. Okay? The Hai Tana Maitila Gzera Shava Mimibar says 1 second, but this Tana is learning the Tkiyah and the Teruah and all these things from the Teruah, these to do in the Midbar. The Tanya, as we learned in a Braita, Utkatem Teruah. Tkiyah bifnei atzma, veTeruah bifnei atzma. Each one is a Tkiyah and a Teruah. Ata omer Tkiyah bifnei atzma. Do you say that it's going to be each one on its own? Or eno ela Tkiyah uTeruah? Maybe it's only one. As Keshu Omer, when it says Uvakileta kahal titkeu velo tariu, that you have to do Tkiyah and not Teruah. Heve Omer, I'm going to say it's Tkiyah bifnei atzma, Teruah bifnei atzma. How do you know that you have to do a pshuta beforehand? Tamul Omar comes teach you utkatem teruah, right? You have to be tokea the teruah. How do you know you have to do a pshuta afterwards? Tamul Omar teruah yitkiu, which means like this. We just learned by the shofar of Rosh Hashana. How do you know you have to do a tekiyah before and a tekiyah afterwards? Whether it was va'avarta or ta'aviru. Okay, va'avarta before, ta'aviru afterwards. So you need pshuta. Pshuta means pashut, right? There's no breaking of the sound. That's a tkiyah. Regular tkiyah is called a pshuta. Right? A long tkiyah. So, tkiyah before, tkiyah afterwards. Now we're talking about in the desert. In the Midbar, when they used to travel, they also used to do tkiyot and they used to do all these different things. How do we know that also there was a pshuta before and a pshuta afterwards? So it says the Gemara, Tamul Omar, utkatem teruah. When it says utkatem teruah, there's a pshuta beforehand. How do you know there's a pshuta afterwards? Teruah yitkiu. Right? Teruah yitkiu. So the fact that it was saying utkatem, that's kiyah, then teruah. And then it says teruah yitkiu, teruah and then kiyah. So therefore you need one before and one afterwards. You don't need it. Sharei Omer, but it already says utkatem teruah shenit. You're going to do a second time. What does it mean now, shenit? What does it mean here now the second time? She'en tamul omar shenit. Right? So what does it come and teach you? Shenit. Ze bana av, it's a binyan av. Binyan av means that I'm going to learn it as it's like a rule which is going to come and teach about many different things. So that's called a binyan av. So he says a binyan av shekol makom shneimar teruah. Anytime that it says teruah, that there has to be a tekiyah afterwards as well. So any elim bamidbar, but that's no second, right? But that's only the second one, right? So he says, right, that's only in the desert. How do you know in the Rosh Hashana? Tamlomar teruah l'gzera shava. Now it's a teruah for gzera shava, which means beforehand we learned it as a hikesh. This was a hikesh when it says va'avarta shofar teruah taviru b'shofar. That's a hikesh because it was written right beside each other, right? But now we're learning gzera shava, which is stronger, which is teruah. The fact that in the midbar it had to be a tekiyah before and tekiyah afterwards. I'm learning teruah from the midbar to Rosh Hashana. Also by Rosh Hashana, it's one before and one afterwards. Okay. V'shalosh teruot ne'emru, and there were 3 teruot brought down by Rosh Hashana. Number 1, Shabbaton zichron teruah, Yom teruah, and v'avarta shofar teruah. U'shte tikiyot lechol echad ve'echad, and there's 2 by each one. So now we understand. Shalosh teruot v'shesh tikiyot ne'emru. So there's 3 teruot and 6 tikiyot. That's just math. If I tell you that there's 3 teruot, because it's written 3 times teruah, and I already told you that every teruah has 2, right? Every teruah has 2 tikiyot, 1 before and 1 afterwards. So now I have 1 before, 1 afterwards, and 1 in the middle. 1 before, 1 afterwards, 1 in the middle. 1 before, 1 in the middle, 1 in the middle. So now you have 9. Okay? That's what he's saying. Shalosh teruot v'shesh tikiyot. You have 3 teruot, 6 tikiyot are brought down in Rosh Hashana. Shtaim are midivrei Torah. Ve'achat, and one of them is going to be divrei sofrim. Right? The 2 teruot that we learn from is Shabbaton zichron teruah v'avarta shofar teruah midivrei Torah. Yom teruah yelachem letalmudohu ba. The pasuk is coming to teach you for the gzera shava that is coming to teach you. So that's why it's not going to be the doraita. It's going to be the divrei sofrim. So he comes and he says, "Shmuel ben Nachmani amar Rabbi Yonatan." Says Shmuel ben Nachmani Rabbi Yonatan. Achat midivrei Torah. Only one is doraita, and 2 of them are midivrei sofrim. Ve'avarta shofar teruah is midivrei Torah. Right? Shabbaton zichron teruah and Yom teruah yelachem letalmudohu ba. They're coming to teach you other dirashot. Meaning, what we're trying to say is that any time that it's coming to teach you another dirasha, so I'm not using it anymore as a doraita, that it's coming to teach you that you have to blow the shofar. Because it's coming to teach you something else. So therefore, since the first shita held that only 2 are doraita, 1 is the rabbanan. Now this one is saying only 1 is doraita and 2 are the rabbanan. So says the Gemara, what is it coming to teach you? That you're saying that it's the rabbanan. Ma'ile talmudo ba. So he says, mi ba'ele, he needs it by yom velo balayla. When it says Shabbaton zichron teruah, right? It says, or yom teruah yelachem, it means that it has to be only during the daytime, not during the nighttime. Meaning, I would have thought to say, listen, Rosh Hashana, when can you blow the shofar? Also the night of Rosh Hashana. Why not? It's the next day, right? That's what he's saying. So that's why the day is coming Yom Teruah to teach only during the day and not during the night. Ve'idach, but the other shita, how does he learn by Yom Velo Balayla? Right? Minale. So he says, Nafkalim biyom kippurim. It says from biyom kippurim. Since it says by Yom Kippurim, right? So since it says by Yom Kippurim, that's how we need Yom Kippurim. And we already learned that everything that happened with Yom Kippurim also applies here. So therefore, Yom Kippurim. And I apply it to Rosh Hashana. I mean, it's just like by Yom Kippur, it has to be during the day of Kippur and not the night of Kippur. So to Rosh Hashana, it's going to be during the day of Kippur and not the night of Kippur. So ask the Gemara, if you're going to tell me that you learned it already from Yom Kippurim, so why don't we learn from Kippur, the simple one, the Tkiyah before and Tkiyah afterwards? Meaning, why do we have to learn it only by Rosh Hashana? Learn it from Kippur the full way. Meaning, I'm going to ask you right now, where do you learn that you could only do it during the day of Rosh Hashana, not during the night? You learn it from Kippur. So if you learn it from Kippur, so also learn from Kippur that you need to do 1 pashut before and 1 pashut afterwards, right? So says the Gemara, he doesn't like this drasha of ve'avarta means that there's a tkiyah before, ta'aviru means there's a tkiyah afterwards. He doesn't like it. Okay? It's katuv b'yom kippurim. Okay? Ve'avarta ta'aviru lo mashmulu. He doesn't like it. Ela mai darshivu. So what does he say? Ve'avarta is like Rav Matna. What does that mean? We are only going to blow the shofar in the way that it's done, which means that it has to be, right, mechubar, right, which means like this. What happens if I'm going to come and I'm going to change the form of the shofar? We learned this already. That, for example, where the skinny part was, I made it thick. And where the thick part was, I made it skinny. And I blew it the wrong way around. No, it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Because it says, va'avarta. Va'avarta means derech havaratot, the way that it was on the animal. That means I can't come and start changing. Ta'aviru, right? The kavan rachmana, Nabera bayad. The Torah, when it says taviru, it means taviru gufa shofar, when it's going to be in your hand, b'chol haaretz, and then afterwards you're going to come and you're going to do it in the midbar. So it means it's havarat kol shofar. Okay, ve'idach and Rado Tana, the Rav Matna, he comes and he says the fact that it changed and it said bavarta and then taviru, bayad lo matzitamar the gamar avara avara. We can do a gzira shava avara avara. Right, by Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Because it's written Vavarta shofar teruah, and it's written over there. Vayitza Moshe v'yaviru kol shofar b'machreh. So mala halan bekol, just like over there was with the kol, right? There was a shofar of Yom Kippurim. So to here was going to be bekol, and then we're going to continue Bezrat Hashem, right, tomorrow. Okay, Bezrat Hashem, we continue tomorrow. Nice, no? Sorry, so let's just continue another few lines until the two dots on the bottom of Lamed Daled Amud Aleph. So it says Ulahai Tana the Mighty Lamidbar, the one that's learning it from the Midbar. Ima lahalan there it was chatzotzrot. So maybe here too it's also chatzotzrot. Remember in the desert they weren't blowing the shofar; they were blowing the trumpets. The chatzotzrot, it's not the same thing. So to here you should blow the chatzotzrot, not the shofar. We learn it in the Tehillim of Thursday that we just read this morning, and it's the same Tehillim of Rosh Hashana. We said Tiku b'chodesh shofar because what is the chag? There's only one chag, right? There's only one chag that there's no month that it's covered. Which one? Because Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, Pesach, Sukkot is mamash in the middle, full moon. But even Shavuot, it's towards it's half. But it's not that it's covered. The only one Rosh Hashana, right?
It's on Rosh Chodesh.
Right, it's a Rosh Chodesh. Remember, Rosh Hashana, v'kamar nachman shofar. It said the shofar, so you have to do it. So Atkin Rabbi Avu beKesari. So Rabbi Avu came and he instituted in Kesari, right? Tiku tekiyah shlosha shvarim teruah tekiyah. So therefore, he went and he said, "How are you going to do it? You have to do tekiyah, 3 shvarim, teruah, tekiyah." So says the Gemara wonders, oh, how did you get that? Right? Because again, this is what we do nowadays, tashrat. So how did he get this tashrat? Tekiyah, shivarim, teruah, tekiyah. Tashrat, taf, shin, resh, tav. So says the Gemara, manashach. If it's the crying of the tu, lavi tekiyah, teruah, tekiyah, just do tarat. And if it's going to be the shivarim, which is tu, so just do lavi tekiyah, shlosha shvarim, tekiyah. Do tashat. Tekiyah shvarim tekiyah. So says the Gemara, we have a doubt. We don't know which one it is. So 1 second. So matkifla. So he's asking Rav Avira, maybe bemet it's a hefsek then. Why is it a pasek? It's a hefsek because maybe bemet it's a yilala, which is a tu, and now you have a shvarim, which is a hefsek. Says the Gemara, the hadaravi tekiyah teruah tekiyah. Again, you do another tarat by itself. So matkif la Ravina. So Ravina says v'dima ganuchava. Maybe it's shivarim. V'kamav seketruah. So you have a hefsek of the truah. Then shvarim letkiyah. So he says again, you do tashat. Meaning that's why we have to do each one. That there shouldn't be a hefsek. The first one, right? Maybe that it is. But basically, since maybe it's a hefsek, I have to do it by themselves as well. So ella, but rather Rabbi Avu ma'itkin. So what was he matkin? It says it was matkin, right? What was the takana? If he did the tashat, he did tashat. If it was tarat, he did the tarat. So he says, no, maybe do the both together. Maybe when a person cries, they do like that they start breaking down in a crying. So that's what we have to do all three. So if so, do the opposite. So this was the question that Jonathan asked. Maybe do the opposite. Maybe you should do the teruah and then the shvarim. Meaning do like that. Answers the Gemara. Stama de minta, the stam of a human being is kimitra beinish minta, when something bad happens to them. At the beginning, they start crying short cries, and then they just break down and cry. That's the norm. So since it's a norm, that's why they're doing it that way. And then we continue with the two dots. Bezrat Hashem tomorrow.